Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio, it's time for the GNFCC 400 Insider. Connect, build, and grow with the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, and welcome to the GNFCC 400 Insider, the monthly radio show and podcast presented by the Greater North Fulton Chamber. I'm Tori Kerlin, Marketing Manager at the Greater North Fulton Chamber. Today, we'll be recognizing our 2022 NextGen Connects chairs and program. NextGen Connects is a chamber talent development initiative that serves to engage, recognize, and develop GNFCC's future leaders. This young professionals group is designed for individuals aged 21 to 40 who are living and or working in North Fulton. NextGen Connects hosts many programs focused on social connections, service, and educational seminars, including our Mentor Match program. And I'm excited to introduce our 2022 chairs. I'll start with you, Tukker. Tukker Penrod is the outreach coordinator at Saprea. Tukker, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And our other guest and chair is Rachel Newcomer. Rachel is Director of Development at Summit Counseling. Rachel, glad to have you here.
So glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we have several questions for our guests today, so let's get started. Rachel, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We'd love to know about your background and what led to your career path.
Absolutely. So born and raised in Atlanta. I feel like I'm one of the few these days, but I grew up in Roswell and went to Pope High School. But I went to Georgia Southern and had the plan of going to physical therapy school. When I was in grad school, my only brother was diagnosed with cancer. And so as many people know that have gone through cancer with a family member, that kind of shapes you, changes your path. And I decided, woke up one morning when he was going through probably the worst part of his journey and just says, I want to help people like him. My parents thought I was crazy, to change that late into college. But, I did decide to go into the nonprofit world, got an internship with the American Cancer Society down in Statesboro. And flash forward, I worked for them, did events like I do now, fundraising, patient engagement, advocacy for cancer bills, all the things. And then after that, I worked at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and my brother had leukemia, so that was even closer to my heart. So I spent about 11 years in the cancer space. And then flash forward, this little thing that some of us have heard of called COVID-19 happened. And at the time, at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I was the state manager over what was called Pennies for Patients, which is our school fundraising program. And so when kids weren't going to school, it was a little bit hard to fundraise in schools. And so unfortunately, I was one of many that was impacted career-wise by COVID-19. My entire program, my role was eliminated. And so I found myself, jobless during a pandemic, which was something that I don't wish upon anybody. And so I really used that time, God's way, I believe, to soul search and figure out, if I'm going to do something different, now is the time. And so did a lot of networking with things like NextGen and the Chamber, just to meet people and learn about new avenues, which the Chamber is such an amazing tool for. And Summit Counseling Center found me. One of their board members knew Holly York, who was at North Fulton Community Charities. Holly knows me well from NFCC and recommended me, and here we are now. So I'm in a brand new space, which I'll talk about, I know, in a little bit. But it's definitely an exciting time to still do fundraising and share an incredible mission of the Summit Counseling Center. And excited to be here and excited to be in the mental health space during, I believe, one of the most important times during my lifetime for mental health.
Absolutely. And I thought I knew a lot about you, but it's funny, I did not know all of that. I also didn't know you went to Georgia Southern, which I also went to Georgia Southern.
Nice. Go Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Tukker, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into your career.
Yeah, so I had a kind of a little bit different career path than Rachel. I didn't start my career in the nonprofit space. I started my career actually in construction, and did a lot project management wise for a construction company, and got into some management for pressure washing. And then went back into construction, but always kind of like had a heart for the nonprofit space and giving back, and just being of value in our communities. And so with that, I kind of started to look at different things of where I could go, what I could do. Got connected with an IT organization, doing some vendor management and event planning and things like that, and really built kind of a good foundation for what I'm doing now. And so I got introduced to Saprea probably 6 months into the inception of the organization, and just really connected with them and loved what they did, loved what the mission was, and wanted to participate in what they were doing, but no job opportunities at the time. And so it gave me, some good time to really continue to build that solid foundation. And so about 2.5 years ago, I joined the organization. And so I love, again, working in the community, helping people understand who we are and what we do, also in somewhat of a mental health space as well. So definitely a pivotal time for that. And yeah, love connecting with businesses and organizations. And so when I joined the organization, I was like, we've got to be a member of the Greater North Fulton Chamber and what they're doing. And so been connected now almost 3 years with the chamber in the role that I'm in. And it's been phenomenal to get connected in, but then also getting connected in with the NextGen, and really helping the NextGen audience think about the community.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. Why NextGen? Why did you decide to get involved with that group? You're involved in a lot of things and a busy husband and father. So what made you decide to commit to NextGen? Yeah,
I think as I got involved in the chamber, just really felt everything good that the chamber was doing. The leadership that the chamber has, the events that they put on, the involvement that they are in the community. It's a really big focus of the chamber. And so just got more involved with what they were doing. And NextGen kind of came up and restarting, if you will, and got to participate in the mentor match program. Just phenomenal program. And that's really where I kind of built a testimony of NextGen and the power of NextGen, really building those next generational leaders that will lead our communities into the future. And so I just wanted to be a part of that, just to selfishly build myself personally as a person, but also in my profession as well. Yeah. And so just wanted to get, more connected into the community and building, better relationships within that.
Yeah, makes sense. And you've done a great job at it. So we really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And Rachel, what about you? Why'd you decide to get connected in NextGen Connects?
Yeah, absolutely. So flashback to my first job ever that I mentioned at the American Cancer Society. I actually moved to Noonan, Georgia, for my first job. I knew 2 people down there. And the ACS was very heavily involved in the Noonan-Coweta County Chamber. And so I started getting involved there. It was a great outlet, as we've talked about, for being new somewhere, being a new businesswoman straight out of college and my first job. It was such a great outlet. And Candace Boothby, the chamber president, came to me and a couple of other individuals, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like young and eager, and said, we'd like to reboot our young professionals group. And so I was able to do that. And so it was like perfect for me at the time. It was an outlet for me to meet new folks, to get involved down there. And so then flash forward, it's crazy how crazy. God's timing is crazy. And so this is perfect timing to get even more heavily involved in NextGen at the chamber here. I just bought my first home in Alpharetta. So I have gone through that process, moved up from the Buckhead, Brookhaven area to Alpharetta. So although I grew up around the corner, it's very different to grow up somewhere as opposed to being in your, middle to late 30s. And so it's provided that opportunity again, right, to get to know this new career space I'm in, to get to know the Alpharetta area, and just to network and get to know others and grow my network.
Absolutely. It's been a great connector for me as well. So I feel like there's no better place to connect with your community, both professionally and personally, than through the chamber, even as someone who works there. So I'm happy to hear that. And Tukker, we touched on this a little bit, but you're very involved in the chamber. You're also a chamber diplomat and now co-chair of NextGen. What do you think the importance of chamber leadership and involvement in the community is to you, both personally and professionally? Because I know I've even seen you grow over the last couple of years just with your dedication to growing both personally and professionally. And how do you think your experience could benefit other young professionals?
Yeah, great question, Tori. Being involved in the community is so important. And being around the chamber has really helped me see how other professionals see that. Mm-hmm. More seasoned professionals that have been in their career, maybe 10, 20 years, 30 years in the community. And just learning from them on how they got involved and why they get involved and those kinds of things. And has really helped me understand that I need to start getting involved. I don't need to wait, until I'm seasoned, quote unquote, seasoned, mm-hmm. Down the road, to get involved, that I can add value now. And that I can increase my value learning from the others who are involved. And so I think from a personal standpoint, it's just really helping me grow from a person, and my value to the community. I believe wholeheartedly that we can learn something from everybody, no matter what your background is or where you grew up or what gender you are, those kinds of things, what race you are, what country you're from, what language you speak. We can all grow and learn something from everybody. And so that's what I've really tried to focus on as I've been involved in the chamber and the different things is what can I learn from somebody else, mm-hmm. That will really help me become who I'm supposed to be and to reach my full potential, and being able to, potentially provide a good example to other next gen professionals of why they should get involved, because we are the generation that will lead our community. And so as we work together and we collaborate and we build those relationships, we'll have that already going for us when that time comes. And so from a professional standpoint, again, connecting with people is really my passion. And so the opportunity it's given me to connect our organization and the resources that we have with the community is really essential and really invaluable.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I've seen that through, you obviously are benefiting, but you're benefiting our members as well with your dedication and always being there. You're one of the faces we see the most often at the chamber. So hopefully that means you're getting a lot of value.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And for NextGen, as we started this organization to begin with and then started to grow it, like you said, the whole point is we're the next generation. So we're going to come in and hopefully run on the board for the chamber and lead in these organizations, and getting people plugged in as early as we can, I think benefits everybody. So that's kind of our goal as well. So
yeah. I've seen a lot of people in the chamber that are plugged into like the Rotary clubs and the Lions clubs and different organizations that do a lot of great work here in our communities. And so it's been awesome to learn, because I didn't even know what either. Rotary or anything like that was really before I joined the chamber and got involved. And so learning of that, I mean, you really see how much people are involved in the community and what they're doing. It's not just that they're, a radio show host or, a car salesman or a counselor or, whatever, but they do so much more than that.
Yeah. And both of you are in nonprofit world and you're giving back to your communities, just as you said. But I know that young professionals are really concerned about their community and how they can give back as well. And just bringing them awareness of ways that they can do that, I think, is important through the chamber, like you're saying. But Rachel, I know most of your life revolves around nonprofit, and that's what you're doing day to day. But I also know your passion for serving. When you do have some time off to be involved with your community outside of your organization, what are some things you like to do and to be involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all about finding what those passions are, which I think is something that a lot of people struggle with once they get to that young professional age, to find, their niche, like where they fit. For me, I grew up playing soccer, and so I still coach when I can. And coaching the underserved population. So really giving free lessons and coaching in that space has been amazing for me. And I've done that for many, many years. And then I'm also very, very much still involved in the cancer space. So I each year mentor a couple of young girls who also have lost their only sibling like I did to cancer. And so it's kind of like an organization like Big Brother, Big Sister, but just a little bit more grassroots and smaller. And so that's been something that I've probably dedicated most of my time to every year since he passed, which has been many, many years ago. So really just helping, the younger generation that's going through something that they would have never imagined. And a lot of the young girls that I work with don't have the resources that I was blessed to have growing up. And so, just helping them navigate that unprecedented time of loss and knowing that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel while still honoring that individual.
Absolutely. Well, that's incredible to hear about. I know that, like I said, young professionals, next gen, whatever you want to call us, we all have, I think, a passion for something a little more outside of work. Like there's so much more to life other than the 9 to 5. I think young professionals also have a reputation of understanding and demanding a better work-life balance so they can fit their passions into their day and their family. And and I'll ask both of you this, what do you think is most important to retain young professionals, and what's most important to you? Tukker, I'll start with you.
Okay. So I'm not I don't know if I can speak to all young professionals, but for myself, it's really about culture of the organization. Culture is really big. And I think a lot of organizations see that and are working to either improve their culture or understand what their culture is and help that culture, resonate throughout the organization. I think that is huge, at least for me. But not only culture, but almost an employee development. Like you're a better person professionally, but also personally because you work at that organization. Mm-hmm. And so really digging in to better your employees. We've talked about mental health a little bit on this podcast, and I think that's huge. A huge space for employers to really help their employees grow mentally and their mental health, so that they can accomplish and complete the tasks that are before them, but also better them throughout their career, and help give a good launching pad for that career. And so I think it's really important that we pour into the employees, and not just obviously the young professionals, but all employees. But I think as a young professional, that's what I really look for in an organization is great culture, but also great ways to grow in my career, personally, professionally, as a father, as a husband, as a community member. I love when organizations, and I might be biased because I work for a nonprofit, but when organizations give the opportunity to their employees to give back. A lot of employers will, give a paid holiday or paid 8 hours to volunteer. I think that goes a long way in building that employee because it gets them connected into the community, but it also teaches them about service. It also helps them feel what service can do for them and others, but then also shows that employee that the organization is passionate about it and that they're, not just an organization that houses a headquartered or an office in the community, but they are involved where they work.
Right. And I think those employees that have that opportunity are better employees at the end of the day as well. They have that full circle also understanding of what community service means.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that I love that question. I think I could talk about it for hours. To tag on to what Tukker said, it's culture. And that means so many different things, right? I think one of the biggest proven statements with millennials and younger is that they're terrified of failure, And so I think it's that culture of what does failure mean and how we approach that. So I think it's all about setting goals, setting benchmarks to get to those goals, and really mentoring that staff. They are our future leaders. We are the future leaders, right? So it's really setting them up for success with the culture that you're leading with. Young professionals offer such a new and different perspective. I think that it's really going to them for those innovative ideas, including them in the thought process, strategic planning, all of those things. I think it's easy to often look at tenure as what is most valuable, as opposed to someone that might be fresh out of college, but they have those innovative ideas and that passion and that drive and that want to be successful. So really taking advantage of that. Providing a platform for all voices to be heard and seen around the table. Like I said, despite tenure, despite seniority, I think is really important in providing. I think there's so much value to leadership programs and mentorship programs, like the mentor match that the chamber does. So many companies do something similar in the corporate world, and I think that's huge. I think it's, young professionals have that want to thrive and to learn. So providing them the ability to and the avenues to do that is crucial.
Yeah. And I'll say, I don't mean to interrupt you, Tukker, but I know that from your experience and mine as well, I was given the opportunity to do the mentor match program as well, but it's a learning curve both ways. I mean, we're not only being mentored, but I kept finding myself, there were things I was able to teach my mentor. And so the generational gap, I think, is closing a little bit more as we do things like this and try to understand one another. So,
and I think too, the more that, despite the, Tukker and I both come from the nonprofit world, but I think a lot of segments of the career force these days are guilty of silos. Silos by tenure, silos by generation, silos by what your job role is. And I think we have to eliminate those. I think we have to provide more opportunity for cross-department functioning, planning, strategy, and like Tukker mentioned, like across dynamics with age, across dynamics with tenure and all of that. I think the more that we can remove those silos in the various ways, just creates a better environment for thriving for young professionals.
Yeah, I think Rachel hit on a really good point that I wanted to circle back to is that everybody in the organization has a voice that can be heard, and that your tenure doesn't qualify or disqualify you for bringing either a good idea forward or something that could be valuable for the organization, but providing a space. And I think that's what young professionals are also looking for, is that they can provide value to an organization, and that organization sees that they look to them to ask the question, hey, what do you think? Because a lot of young professionals have amazing gifts and talents that can better, the organizations in our communities and that are all around us, and so looking to them for some of that support too, I think is critical and crucial.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I'll kind of piggyback off that with you, Tucker. What is one piece of advice you would give leaders and employees in a position of managing young professionals? You may have already just answered that.
I think it goes back to that right there is not being whatever word you want to say, arrogant or full of themselves, that they've been there longer, they know what's right, what's wrong.
Open-minded.
They've got to be open-minded to the young professionals, and they've got to help the young professionals see that they are valuable and that they provide value in conversations. I worked in an organization that, and for a manager that didn't see that, and that didn't show that. And so I felt like I didn't have a voice. And so I couldn't, I could say, what I was feeling or thinking, but it wasn't really heard. And that didn't make me want to, do that more and more. Right. And it didn't make me want to invest into that organization, right? Like it does now. Our opinions are valuable at Saprea. And there's a voice for everybody and a platform that it can be heard. And so it makes me want to pour into it even more, having that space.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What about you? What advice would you give, Rachel?
Love this question. So I think it's really tailoring your training to that person's experience. The saying goes that first impressions are everything. And I'm a very firm believer in that. And I think breaking that culture of, whether someone is a janitor or a CEO, making their first day the best day ever, introducing them to everybody up the ladder, letting them learn about various roles, and, not having the same very quick onboarding process if someone is like me. Like I've been in the career world for a bit, but I'm in a brand new space. And so the Summit Counseling Center really tailored opportunities for me to learn about mental health and learn about this vital space that I'm now in. I can ask for money all day long. I've done that my entire career, but if I don't know what I'm asking for or, the needs for mental health, I'm not going to be successful. And so I think, tailoring that training experience, staying with them along the way, providing that ongoing feedback. Young professionals want that. They want to know in a constructive manner, how can I do better? How can I get to the next step? How can I climb the ladder? And so, providing those clear goals and benchmarks to get there and that feedback along the way is crucial.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I hate to wrap us up. We are closing up here, but I've so enjoyed having you both on. It's very clear listening to the two of you talk and your passion about why we wanted you to be chairs and maybe begged you. But we absolutely have enjoyed having you both, and I look forward to the rest of the year. But as we move forward, how can our listeners find you? Maybe your website, social media, what's the best way? And Rachel, I can start with you.
Yeah, so I had to make sure I knew our handles correctly. So Summit Counseling Center Atlanta is our Facebook page, and then Summit Counseling Atlanta is our Instagram page. And of course, please find me on social media. I try to be active on LinkedIn. So Rachel Newcomer, Newcomer, just like the word. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and those kind of things. But yeah, I love connecting with people. And that's why I think an entity like the Chamber of Commerce is crucial, because you can just learn so much from someone, and you never know when that one introduction where you think it's like unrelated to what you do might benefit you one day. So
absolutely,
definitely reach out.
Awesome. Tukker?
Yeah, for me, you can definitely reach out on LinkedIn. It's Tukker. There's probably not a lot of Tuckers with that spelling, so feel free to put that in the search bar. You'll probably find me. And then for the organization, Saprea, SAPREA.org.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank our guests for joining me today. If NextGen Connects sounds like something you may be interested in, please join us as our next collaborative social event with Gwinnett Young Professionals, and that'll be on July 21st. There will be more information to come on this event on the GNFCC website. I also want to thank our listeners for joining us on the GNFCC 400 Insider presented by the Greater North Fulton Chamber. To listen to this show again or to hear any of our previous episodes, visit GNFCC400insider.com. To find out more about NextGen Connects and the Greater North Fulton Chamber events and programs, visit GNFCC.com. Until next time, I'm Tori Kerlin, and this has been the GNFCC 400 Insider on Business RadioX.